Yo, what is going on, homies? It's your boy Stumped back for another OPTC video, and in today's video, it's that time of the month again. It's tier list time, and in today's video, we'll be ranking all of the SUGO Fest exclusives over in One Piece Treasure Cruise. And with the release of Level Limit Break, things have changed drastically. We have 4 new legends to talk about with X-Ray Kazuna, our Legend X-Ray's release. We have the release of the 6 plus aokiji, V2 aokiji, as well as the dual legend release of Marco and Big Mom. We'll be finding a spot for them on the tier list, as well as sort of shuffling some things around as we do every single month. With the release of Level Limit Break, obviously some of the older characters like Whitebeard, V1 Shanks, Buggy, they all got big upgrades, so we'll be changing like their positioning as well. But before I do begin, as always, I do want to give a huge shout out to the database for the images provided, as well as tier list maker, and links to both of those will always be in the description below. So make sure to go check them out if you ever need some tips or if you need some help with team building. The database is a great place to do it. If you guys want to create your own tier list, the link will be down there as well. As always, I'll leave a photo at the end. Let me know what your thoughts and opinions are in the comment section below. Do you agree with some things? Do you disagree with some things? Let's have a bit of a discussion. That's the most fun about these particular videos. But be mindful, this is my opinion. This is just my perspective, playing the game, who I think is worth leveling, what characters are the most valuable in terms of usability. Usability obviously is a broad spectrum in terms of captain ability, special ability, sailors, the use of supports. Everything comes into play when it comes to this, like me talking about the unit. And I do like to test units in the hardest content in the game, namely stuff like the Kid Forest, Dofi 2, Revolutionary Army 2, the Hawkins Forest, all of that particular pieces of content that makes them quite hard. But I do also like to take into perspective stuff like arenas, as well as treasure map, Kazuna as well. Those game modes come around once a month, and characters can be very, very good for them moving forward. So, as I mentioned, we do have our tier list for April 2022. With that said, let's dive in. Alrighty, so this is last month's tier list. It looks a little bit like this. As always, we have our broken and most valuable tier. These particular characters are basically irreplaceable. They do things that no one else can do. They're the best of the best, really. The level 5 limit broken Final Tap Luffy is absolutely incredible. They're the best unit in the game, no doubt about it. If you have their Final Tap level 5, they can do things that no one else can. Toki, honestly, is the most valuable legend for me. Being able to bypass, like, effects like Despair, Paralysis, Bind, all that sort of stuff, and a 3.5 times attack and Orb boost is nothing to discredit. She's amazing for Kazuna. She's very, very powerful in all game modes. Very strong unit. I'm not going to hold video with that. Alrighty, so we have last month's tier list here, and it looks a little bit like this. At the top, we have the broken and most valuable tier. Straw Hat, Final Tap level 5. No one can do what they can do. That damage output is insane. They're good for Kazuna, they're good for hard content, they're good for arenas, they're good for no stall teams. They're the cream of the crop when it comes to maxing this unit out. Toki's not too far behind though, being able to get around effects like Paralysis, Despair, Bind with her Toki ability. Provided you know it's coming, you're going to be fine. As well as the 3.5 times attack and Orb boost, very good supports. Roger, you guys know how good Roger is. Despair removal as his captain, a massive attack boost, Rainbow captain, very powerful. The 2 Yamatos, whether you're looking at the Int Yamato or the Sai Yamato, both hold a very, very strong place. Getting the skulls is not hard, like they're not expensive, so you can chop and change whenever you need to. So if you're like me and you've only got one, it's still very valuable. Whitebeard and Roger, I think I'm actually going to like put them up here. I think they're a little bit better than Yamato nowadays. This top section, I don't like put like ranking normally on this tier list, but like the top, I kind of do. Whitebeard and Roger's switch ability is so damn powerful that they just go on a team and you just use that switch. 3 matching orbs. You get a full board of matching orbs with their super switch, as well as being a 1.5 times attack and orb boost is just so good for teams. It gives you a lot of damage output and then can like save spots for utility. So they're incredible. Very, very good sub for pretty much any team, even if they're not getting boosted under the captain ability. Bon Clay can be anything you need him to be. Fighter, shooter, slasher, striker, cerebral, free spirit, powerhouse, or driven. He can be any of the colors, dex, psi, quick, int, strength, you name it, this man can do it. He's like, he unlocks like page 1 ulti like capabilities, wherever I've actually moved them, they're down here. Page 1 ulti capabilities and stuff like Kazuna, he's just phenomenal. Like, he's one of the best like Kazuna characters in the entire game. As well as just like finding a team on like spot on any team if you need him to. He's also got special charge reduction at the start of the quest. So you can basically start with his special. Finally, we've just got the regular Straw Hat crew. Let's just say level 1 Final Tap. They are still absolutely phenomenal. Very valuable unit. Makes team building very, very easy. Fantastic unit. onto God tier now. These particular characters sort of just don't satisfy the same like credentials as these guys up here. Ace Sabo, amazing captain, utility despair, special blind removal, great special ability removing blind despair and special blind, as well as being a 3-turn orb boost to free spirit and shooters, provided you have a Luffy on the team or a Luffy support, which is very, very easy to do with this unit. Next, we've got Ace vs Akainu. This unit here for me is like my most used unit. I still always opt for versus Ace when it comes to a free spirit team, and most of the time I'll opt for Akainu when it comes to a Druid based team. Ace more than Akainu nowadays. Akainu I use more as a sub, and that's the whole idea of God tier. They're great captains and they're phenomenal subs. Kinemon Denjiro honestly has been aging like fine wine since their release. They've only been out for 2 months, but like as a captain, they can give Wano orbs. Like as long as you hit with type advantage, you will get a Wano orb, which is very, very easy to do because they're a slasher and a free spirit booster. 2 of the best classes in the game. Their switchability is incredibly unique with giving slasher resistance, and they just unlock the door for stuff like you and you and you if you want them to be. So like you can just do some crazy things with the broken category as well. Next, we've got Last Tap Kid. Last Tap Kid is still holding his own because Riven is still so powerful. And Strikers as well. Something to note is Strikers have been creeping up and up and up, right? With Last Tap Kid, as well as Yamato being Striker captains, you can do a lot of cool things. He can be your attack booster, your orb booster, your color affinity booster, you name it. Kid can do it. Next, you got Dofi. Still my favorite legend in the game, actually, at the moment. This Dofi being getting around Special Bind, as well as his super class being special reverse resistant and having just a phenomenal special, which you can use 2 Dofis for, is so good. Vivi, she's staying where she is. She is a phenomenal free spirit and cerebral captain. No issues with Vivi in God tier. Great super type, great special. Full border matching orbs through block orbs for 3 turns is just so good. 3 turns is, or buff is so good. Robin and Jinbei, absolutely phenomenal. They're not really seen as a captain too much, but their use as a sub is so God tier. 2 turns of special reverse, which is great. Their switch gives damage reduction. Their special is a base stat booster, which is Rainbow, as well as removing 6 turns of threshold, damage reduction, and attack down. Very similar to Kinemon and Denjiro, they also give utility of like defense up, I'm pretty sure, in threshold, if I remember correctly, or it might be... No, it's damage reduction and threshold as well, but Robin and Jinbei, just they're so good as a sub, and I use them consistently. Consistently use Robin and Jinbei. Finally, Carrot Wonder. Nope, you're staying there. Carrot Wonder are a character that a lot of people shit on when they first came out, or when they first got their info, but this unit is cooked. Like, they are essential for Morgan's, the Grand Voyage. That's another thing to talk about too. Grand Voyage, now with their releases, like, made other characters stronger as well. But Carrot Wonder is the only character that is a deck slasher that has hunger, which is critical for that particular piece of content. So, they're phenomenal. They're great for speed teams. I love this unit. I use them religiously. I actually Limit Break expanded them this month because I use that unit so much. Moving down to the amazing tier, I do think Frankie definitely holds his own as amazing. He's got a great special. His captain having attack down removal is just awesome. I don't love his captain ability in terms of his multipliers, but his utility is just very, very nice. As for Odin, though, I'm not a big Odin fan. I'm actually going to move Odin down into S tier captain. No real, like, narcs against what Odin can do. He's a 5.25 times captain slash a super class, which is great, but I just don't love his special. I don't think he's super, like, all that. He's not tanky. He takes shots, he eats shots, but he does have a lot of damage output in terms of being an attack booster or a color affinity booster. I think he's the highest color affinity booster for slashes, which is great. But his attack booster is kind of mid when you do get it for 3 turns. He does have that unique ability to give the plus 0.25, but I just don't think he's just... I don't think he's all there in terms of, like, what he... Like, he's good for big damage teams in terms of, like, Kazuna, but in terms of, like, hard content and stuff, I would just much rather run, like, some of these guys up here. So I am going to drop him down into S tier captain, unfortunately. I'm never running him as a sub. I'm only ever using him as a captain if I am using Odin. As for Crocodile, though, still an amazing unit. Same with Fire Tank Pirates, Straw Hat Crew. Their specials can do so much. Last Tap Law, phenomenal cerebral captain. And also has the ability of being a slasher captain. Just like Verse Shanks, these 2 guys are just getting better and better thanks to the slasher class getting better. I would drop Whitebeard, but I still think Whitebeard is just phenomenal. I wanted to sort of bring him down into, like, S tier captain. But the reason I wanted to do that is just because I don't use him that often. But I think the reason I don't use him that often is because this guy exists. And that's not a discredit to Verse Whitebeard. It's just that, unfortunately, like, there's just better options nowadays. Last month, though, I did put Cat Dog up in Amazing, and I dropped King and Queen. I actually want to replace them. I think King and Queen, with the release of Marco, I actually, like, started to discredit how amazing that auto trigger of the special is. And actually getting cooldowns, namely. So King and Queen are definitely going to make their way back up with their auto trigger. The way they work together is phenomenal. Very similar to how Cat Dog work together. But Cat Dog, they just sort of can't provide as much damage output. And their ability to go through defensive effects, whilst it's very good, you don't need it all the time. So, like, sometimes when you need it, you don't have it as well, which can be very annoying to build for. Where these guys here, like, they're just, like, it's fine. Like, you can get that super easily. These guys, Super Class and Super Type, I do think is a little bit better than King and Queens because they give cooldowns as well. But unless you're rocking one or the other, you're sort of missing out on that. While King and Queen, like, you're going to be getting the 2 turns of auto trigger, which is just, in my opinion, it's just a little bit nicer. Driven Powerhouse are very, very good, and team building for CatDog can be a little bit tricky. Don't get me wrong, still very, very good, but I do think that King and Queen sort of just triumph them just a little bit more. Down to S tier captain now, all of these characters are mainly used as captains. It's not that they're bad as subs, but their just main use is to be used as a captain. Brook, I am going to drop Brook all the way down here to A tier captain. I think what's been carrying Brook is the fact that he's a Free Spirit captain. Free Spirit is like one of the best classes in the game right now, and that's more of a credit to Free Spirit than it is to Brook. His captain ability is kind of dookie, honestly. Ever since like Odin, it just doesn't provide that much. Being below like 30% HP to like get that like massive 5 times attack is pretty annoying, and his special ability like only really triggers if you are below that 30% as well. But so I'm gonna drop him to A tier captain. Look, it might be like a bit what's the word I'm looking for? It might pay a few people off, but let me know in the comment section below if it does annoy you. While you're down there, don't forget to belt that like button for me. If you're new, hit that big subscribe button as well, because why not, right? It's free and you can change your mind later, and I appreciate the hell out of you. So, on to Lucci now. Lucci, definitely an S tier captain. I love his special. I love his super type. I love his ability. I love his kit. He's such a great captain. The class color meta is still so good. And Lucci fit into that, and he's just a great unit. As for Kaido crew, they're an amazing captain with their super switch mechanic, guaranteeing at the start. They're amazing for treasure map. This unit is the treasure map king. It's funny, because like they're the treasure map king, and they're a Kazuna unit, where this guy here is the Kazuna king, and he's a treasure map unit, so I think they just did that so they're not boosted all the time, because then like otherwise that would just be like absolutely ludicrous with the amount of stuff that you can do. Odin 6+, very solid captain. Getting 1 orbs is nothing to shrug at. I think it's Dex and Tandem slots are 1 for him. Super type Boa, absolutely phenomenal, great for Grand Voyage, level 5. Same with this Brook as well, like he's really good for that. Bonnie, very good in captain. Same with Big Mom, she's got great colors in terms of insight and strength. Very powerful captain. Zoro removing Special Mind definitely deserves to be here. Moria with his super type is very, very nice. He's a Driven Powerhouse captain. Fortunately for Moria, he kind of drops off because Driven Powerhouse have so many good options. And then finally, the law still states, if you can use V1 Kaido, use V1 Kaido. Getting the cooldowns, he's great for speed teams, great at getting around resilience. Great for like clearing early content if you are a newer player as well. So I definitely cannot take V1 Kaido out of S tier captain. But other than that, I think everyone's fine here. I think everyone's safe for this month. They can stay up in there in S tier captain. We'll make our way down to S tier sub now. Shanks crew and Law and Sobermas. These guys have always hold their own. Shanks has amazing switch ability. Very good special. Very, very good special with 3 turns of 3.5 times chain lock, which is still like a very high chain lock even to this day, even though this unit is so damn old. And obviously he's amazing for the Fuchsia City Grand Voyage as well. Law, Wano Law, absolutely incredible unit. The chain boundary is never going to go out of style, and in PvP, still an absolute weapon. Sobermas getting 4 turns of cooldown whenever any other character uses cooldown special, as well as being an orb manipulator, giving matching orbs, and giving an attack boost up to 2.5 if you want to pop your special twice in 1 turn. Page 1 ulti, guaranteed conditional, as long as your captain's powerhouse and or driven. Getting a 2.25 conditional is nothing to shrug at. Shirahoshi Mancherry, their switch ability is absolutely goated. Great utility, overheal, special that gives a chain boost, as well as utility and healing, which is very, very powerful. Luffy Sanji, still an S tier sub in my opinion. They kind of dropped off a bit, but their switch ability is still so good. Getting the attack boost is nice, but the overheal is also great too. Fortunately, you don't see the 2.5 times attack boost too much, but nevertheless, 2 times usually gets you across the line. It's more about their switch if you're using them. The guaranteed recovery orbs, as well as the fact that you have some very, very, very good supports. Vivi Rebecca, still an absolute god of this sub. 2.5 times chain lock every turn is absolutely phenomenal. Completely removing defense up and damage reduction is nothing to scoff at. Same with Sanji and Pudding. Completely removing damage reduction and threshold is very, very strong. Then on to Rayleigh. Now, Rayleigh's the first character we're going to talk about with a level limit break expansion. Rayleigh got a buff captain ability, adding 1.75 attack to his captain, as well as being a chain boundary. But that's never why you're using Rayleigh. Rayleigh was always used as a character to get around utility. He has that amazing sailor ability to give him 2 turns of cooldown whenever anyone else uses a special. And now he's just an orb booster as well. So Rayleigh's not moving. He's definitely staying here. Phenomenal unit. Fighter, a slasher unit. Very, very good. Well, Slasher mainly, and Int being a very good color. So Rayleigh's definitely going to stay in S tier sub. Chopper is a bit of a utility god, but nowadays I don't use him that much because his cooldown's so high. Same with Corazon. Corazon has an amazing Sailor ability. That's what makes him an S tier sub in my opinion. One turn of paralysis and special bind removal every time is so good, especially for when you're coming up against content that just have those very annoying niche little like one turn of everything. Corazon can be your man to satisfy that. Unfortunately, he's 3 turn removal for everything else, but like nevertheless, he's still very, very good. Pudding can stockpile abilities. She can do what like no one else can. It goes through the interrupts as well, so Pudding's just phenomenal. Perona, guaranteed conditional boost if you need it, as well as being a chain locker, very, very good, or boosting the chain lock if you can. And then finally we have Carrot. Now Carrot's an interesting one to me. Carrot's just been getting better and better as time goes on because she's a fighter and she's a cerebral character. I do think that Cat Viper Dogstomp are better as captains when you need to, but I do want to do this. I'm actually going to bring Carrot all the way up into Amazing. The reason I want to do that is because with the release of some of these new characters, she's Marco's best friend, by the way. With the release of these new characters, she's been finding a way on most no-stall teams, as well as being a phenomenal unit to get around defensive effects. She has that captain swap mechanic, so she can bypass that mechanic as well. And if you want to use her as a speed captain, you definitely can. So she has that option as well. So I don't think that like she's like guaranteed to be an S tier sub. She could be your captain. So for that reason, I'm going to put her up here in Amazing. I think Carrot's really good. I would run Carrot Wonder over her most of the time, but because she can go through defensive effects or make the whole team go through defensive effects, and her 6+ makes her very easy to team build for, I think she's amazing. I think Carrot is just absolutely incredible. Other than that, the rest of the S tier subs are going to stay as they are, and then we can move down to A tier captains. As you guys saw, we did move Brook down, which is fair enough in my opinion. As for Halloween, Law, and Mihawk, their utility is great. Sugar, definitely very good with her super type. Boa has a great super typing, and she's a Psy booster, like the best color in the game. This Luffy, I still think this Luffy is better than Final Tap. This is the order I would actually put them in as well, actually. Oh, maybe I'd probably do that nowadays. This is the order I would actually put them in as well. Luffy, phenomenal unit. His super type and his special is still incredibly powerful. Incredibly powerful. If there wasn't Straw Hat Crew in the game, or like even like Luffy Sanji, I would say this guy is still like one of the best Luffys going around. I understand that he only gets a 5x captain to strength, but you can still make his team work. He's still a god for stuff like Dofi 2. Unfortunately, though, I don't use him as much anymore. But the fact that he's super type is still so powerful. It's kind of like what we're going to talk about with Big Mom as well. But having an attack boost and an orb boost in one unit and then running a second one and having the same thing, he's so good. Katakuri, can't stand this guy, but he's a super class powerhouse and you can't discredit what he can do. He's an attack booster, he's an orb booster, and he's a base stat booster, depending on what you need. So Katakuri is really, really good. As for Sanji, this Sanji I'm not a fan of either, but I do understand his capabilities. I don't think he's great, but like 4 turns of an attack boost, 4 turns of an orb boost. He has a pretty good super type. He's a Sanji unit. He's kind of just there, you know. EGOgotic removes paralysis, which is great, but they're such a wonky unit needing shooters and slashers. They're a great sub though. I do really like them as a sub. I don't think they're as an S tier sub, but I do like them as a sub. Verse Kaido, his big gimmick now is just getting around resilience, but like we have units that do that better now, which we'll talk about in a second. Verse Kaido, when he works, he works. Like I can't discredit that. For me, I use him as a sub, but as a captain, when he works, he works. Last Tap Luffy, I can't stand this guy. Like Last Tap Luffy stinks, man. Like he's just not good. I'm never running 2 Last Tap Luffys anymore. Like it just is what it is when it comes to Last Tap Luffy. As for Kid, I am going to drop Kid down into Solid Hybrid. I think it's time now, like, that we sort of start looking at other Dex units. Kid was the first Dex super type, alongside Hawkins, but Hawkins was never good, so we are going to drop him down. And then finally, I'm also going to drop Bullet. Again, this might rub people the wrong way, but Bullet is the epitome of the words Solid Hybrid. You let me know in the comment section below the last time you ran 2 Bullets, and I might reconsider putting him as an A tier captain. He is the hybrid. Like, he is the king of the hybrid. So, I have to put him down here. Nowadays, you're never running 2 of them. But, he's still a god. Like, he's still an absolute god. I'm not discrediting what he can do. I'm just saying that, like, he's not an A tier captain in my eyes anymore. Next, we have A tier subs. And, well, if you say he's an A tier captain, but he is the A tier captain when you're hybriding up. Not like you... Like, I could easily run 2 Halloween Laws. I could easily run, like, 2 Snake Mans, 2 Katakuris. Like, that's what I'm saying here, right? Like, you could run 2 of those units, and it'd all be hunky-dory. Honestly, EGOgotic maybe a solid hybrid, but, like, it is what it is. Down to A tier sub now. We've got Nami Usopp. They've got a pretty unique mechanic in terms of the delay conditional. We've got Brookie here. Brookie's going to come all the way back down to where his other friend Brook is, right here, in terms of content requires a niche. Honestly, we can just take this Brook out nowadays because like there's just no need for him anymore. If you've got Brook, just Super Awaken him, and you're always ever going to use that Brook, to be honest. And that's just kind of the way the cookie crumbles. This Sabo is fairly nice, giving a chain boost as well as an attack boost to Free Spirit fighters and shooters, which is great. This Dofi, I am going to slide down into where content requires a niche nowadays. Honestly, actually, no, he's probably a solid hybrid, just because Driven's so good, I am going to make him a solid hybrid. The big downside to this guy is that this guy exists, but if you hybrid the two of them up together, which I actually needed to do for a particular piece of content because I needed the Dex coloring, so solid hybrid's definitely a good shout. Magellan, same reason. Paralysis removal is great, but his special's just not all there, and his captain ability is not amazing. Marco has a good special, but just a dookie captain. Koala, special reverse, which is great. I can't stand Super Type Sabo. I would throw him in the bin if it was me, but look, I can't discredit what he can do. He did level 5 Grand Voyage against Alvida, I guess, so that's kind of cool. Sweet General to spare removal. This category has that delay mechanic. My boy Halloween Shanks, the most wonky unit in the game. Komurasaki's still pretty nice. The Komurasaki combo, whether you have 6 or 6+. Halloween Ace, when this guy gets a Super Evolution, is going to be god tier. I can't wait to see that. And then level limit break, holy. As for Katakuri, he's got very, very, very unique, and he can still hybrid him up with some pretty cool options. Same with this Blackbeard. He was so good for Grand Voyage level 5 against Buggy, so he's definitely a solid hybrid option. I would say more content when content requires, but like you still can use him with some other really powerful in captains. As for Stampede Luffy, paralysis and despair removal can never be discouraged, and it's kind of like this Blackbeard effect where they're just so self-reliant that like you're just using them for their one purpose of what they can do in terms of the utility and getting the cooldowns. Onto content when requires and niche. These characters are all basically used when the content requires them to. A character I do want to talk about is this Buggy. This Buggy did get a level limit break expansion where he actually becomes an orb booster at the start of the quest. 20 turns of orb boosting. He can rock it with the best of them. But the thing is, when you're still using Buggy, you're still using Buggy for duping drops. And that's the bottom line. So that's why he's in niche. That's why he's doing when content requires. And I do like his level limit break. I think he got a very good level limit break. But it's a lot of investment, level limit break as well. So definitely niche when content's required. Brook, we move down. Frankie can get around the damage limiter, which is great. Kuma has that effect that Law has, but like you're never really using Kuma, to be honest, unless it's worst generation. Rage is pretty much only good when you get poison. Jack for farming XP. Jack can be better, but you're only ever using Jack to farm XP. This Blackbeard was great for Kazuna, whether that's still a thing. Snake Man's great at getting around the what's it called? The interrupts if you have an orb boost. Same with Neko and Inu. They're going to be great for Grand Voyage against Fuchsia City. This Big Mom's kind of only good for Kazuna nowadays. Honestly, this Big Mom's kind of like rare recruit tier. It's just like because she's a base stat booster, that's what makes her so good. But nowadays, it's just other characters that can do it better. So I'm going to drop her, actually. She's got a cool switch, but like I'm going to drop her to like rare recruit tier. Usopp, guaranteed delay. Katakuri, this combination still undefeated from that one Kazuna. Blackbeard, going through defensive effects, the Big Father effect, the switchability of Arlong crew is so good, and their uniqueness as captain. This Rayleigh is going to be really good for Grand Voyage level 5 Fuchsia City, so definitely start feeding dupes in if you have him. Shiroshi can heal, damage null with Robin, blind removal, the carryover effect, and then that end of turn damage for all the big slash from Mihawk. All these characters are just sort of good when you need them, and that's sort of when you will level them up, sort of thing. These two characters here, though, are two characters that I would look at leveling. Just because, like, XP farming is good for pirate level, and obviously duping drops is always nice. The support category, all of these characters just have really, really nice supports. Level up their supports, get them to level 5, let them sit there. But there are some characters that we do need to talk about here. We will come back to it, though, because, like, down here is your rare recruit tier. Down here is your Dookie and needs a 6+. These characters, you don't have to worry about, like, at all, unless you can, like, fully invest in them. And the only ones that I would fully invest in are the ones that have level limit break. And let's start talking about that. Starting with Whitebeard. Mr. Whitebeard did get a level limit break plus. They made him a 4 times captain, 5 times, is it 5.25? I think it's 5.25 maybe if you're below 30%. I think they missed the mark with this Whitebeard. I think they should have done like, it should have been what's it called? It should have been below 50%. He is an orb booster as well as a base stat booster. 2 times orb boost, 800 base stats. And if you is normal attacks only, he's a 1 million damage dealer just like V1 Roger. He does a HP cut if there are no normal attacks only. And he's a pretty good hybrid option. Like, he's a rainbow captain still, so you can still hybrid him up if you need what he does. But, like I said, being below 30% can be very, very annoying. Very similar to, like, why I had dropped Brook over here. Getting below that 30% can be very, very finicky. And he's just not that amazing when he's below 30% anyway to, like, justify the fact that he's, like, anything more than a solid hybrid. On to the next unit down here. If we come back down, we can have a look here. Who else got level limit break expansion? V1 Ace. V1 Ace got a level limit break expansion. V1 Ace is a 2.25 times attack booster to shooters. And he is also a self-proccing conditional booster to Ignite. He'll give the Ignite at 100 times the character's attack, as well as being a 1.75 times attack booster against ignited effects. I think he's very similar to this Sabo. This 6+ Sabo and Ace share very similar properties. He did get a buffed captain ability. He does 40 times his attack compared to the damage that you've, like, you take, like, a whole bunch of damage to yourself and he throws it back as damage. Ace is quite nice. He's a pretty good unit. He's pretty good for shooter teams nowadays. There are better options, obviously, and like I said, level limit break does take a lot of resources, but nevertheless, I do think Ace is very, very powerful. He's a very, very good unit, and I do think he's very similar to this Sabo. Something actually I wanted to do as well, this Bardo Cavendish, I actually wanted to drop Bardo Cavendish. I think nowadays they're probably like a rare recruit tier, mainly because, like, they've been completely replaced by Fire Tank Pirates. I haven't used them in God knows how long, and when you are using them, it's very niche. So I guess you could argue maybe it's niche when content requires, but, like, Don Krieg and Jin just sort of do what they do, which is, like, kind of cool. So yeah, definitely rare recruit tier. As for everything else, actually in A tier sub, I kind of glanced over A tier sub, didn't I? I completely glanced over A tier sub. Everything else in A tier sub, actually Garp. Garp I want to definitely bring down into probably down into support nowadays. Garp has a really good support, removing special bind by 3 turns. And that's basically what I use Garp for nowadays. He's a free spirit, he's a powerhouse unit. So he is quite strong. But everything else in A tier sub, I do think is completely fine. All of these units do see some pretty good player subs. Shiro Shimanshiro can get around defensive, like, 10 turns of anything you want, like attack down, or like no normal attacks only and stuff. Mihawk and Perona, great switchability, conditional boost. Guaranteed, actually, if you can. Nami does a lot for her team with the smoker support. She's just phenomenal. Jumanji, very, very good. Luffy and Zoro, sorry. They're pretty much carried by their switchability. Sabo Koala, actually. I'm going to bring down into niche and when content requires. You're basically only using Sabo Koala nowadays if you need that sort of, like, the negative orb enable removal. So I think they're content when niche or when content requires. As I just couldn't tell you last time I used Sabo Koala. As for that, I think everything else is fine. Everything else is fine here, yeah. Anil's still pretty good. Nami Robin's still good. Luffy Zoro, still really, really good. Luffy and Ace, still great. Sabo getting the carryover effect and the cooldowns is nice. Nami, Usopp, they're pretty good. But yeah, as for Ace, I do think he holds his own here in A tier sub. Just because he's very similar to this Sabo. You're kind of like pulling at hairs if you're comparing the two, you know. Moving up into... there was no one else down here that had a level limit break, did they? Anyone? No. Dust. Anyone? No. Dust. No one did. As for the rare recruit tier, I think this Kuzan we're going to take off the list, obviously, because we're going to talk about his 6+. And no one else actually got a level limit break here. Cool. So we can go straight up into the support tier, because there's definitely some. So this Shanks, V1 Shanks got a level limit break, and like, Shanks is actually like a fair, decent unit nowadays. I'm going to put him at the back end of A tier captain. I think Shanks benefits very similar to like Boa from the fact that he is a Psy captain and he has a lot of very good options. But his special is like a 2022 special, like 2.25 and a full border orbs, as well as sending the defense to 0, and then carrying over into a 2.5 times attack boost for Psy characters is very, very strong. Unfortunately, it is monocolor, which kind of sucks, but it's still incredibly powerful, especially because Psy is just very, very nice, and they have a lot of very, very good options. 2 turns of it's an attack boost, getting around the effect if you use an attack boost is nothing to scoff at. Very, very, very good unit. Very good buff to an old unit, I should say. Moving down now, we have V1 Zoro. V1 Zoro, for me, I think is probably like an A tier sub. The reason I want to say he's an A tier sub with his level limit break expansion is because he's either an attack booster, he's a chain lock, or he can be a color affinity booster if you already have an attack boost. Slashes are incredibly powerful, like incredibly powerful units. And I guess he sort of fits like on the cuff of like solid hybrid and A tier sub. I do think you're probably going to use him more as a sub than as a hybrid option, unless you need him to be. He's a 5.25 times captain as long as you killed something in the previous turn, which is a lot of damage output for slashes. Like, it's very, very good. But I still think that his special is like the drawing factor here. It's a lot of damage output, and most of the time it'll get you across the line. So I do think he's quite good. I'm going to put him up here in A tier sub. As for, what's another unit that we need to talk about? This Luffy. This Luffy kind of just like, he's still kind of whatever, to be honest. I'm still going to I'm going to like maybe move him up into rare recruit tier. The fact of the matter is, I'm still going to use this guy as a support. With time skip Luffy, do I even have time skip Luffy here? I don't think I do. With time skip Luffy, the blue one, he's going to go into like content and niche and where content requires. I really need to change that because I keep doing that. Because he's going to be so good for Grand Voyage level 5. But other than that, like, he still has that negative effect where he like cucks himself in terms of giving him three turns of like paralysis and all those negative effects. So like, I'll put him in where like content required, but like at the moment, like for this guy, I'm still only using him as a support. As for Sengoku's kind of the same. I guess like content required or niche, if there's ever like cost requirements or something like that, you might be using Sengoku. He did get quite a good buff with his Limit Break expansion, but for me, most of the time, you're still going to be using Sengoku as a support. It's just, unfortunately, as simple as that. Like, that's the bottom line. For some reason, we have 2 Sengokus on this tier list. Okay, let's take off one. Alright, so the final level Limit Break expansion character we're going to talk about is actually Boa. Now, I do think Boa got a really good buff, but I do think that she's probably only like a solid hybrid option. She's very similar to Komurasaki. She did get a much better, like, captain multiplier, but she's just basically very tanky. She's got a lot of recovery, she's got damage reduction. She can do that Mero ability, but, like, I don't really ever see myself running 2 Boas, if I'm completely honest. Unless I need to for some reason. She can be very, very good, but I just don't think that she's up here in these A-tier captains. Shanks giving matching orbs is the reason I like him as an A-tier captain. That utility of getting, like, a full board of Psy-Orbs, like, pretty much every turn, provided you're in like, a high HP pool, is very good utility, where Boa sort of just has that damage reduction, but so does, like, Komurasaki having the healing and stuff as well. So I think Boa is probably very good down here in Solid Hybrid. You can make an argument to me that she's probably, like, got an A-tier sub potential, because she's a 2.25 times attack boost, to Quick and Psy. But for me, I think you're probably running her as a solid hybrid option if you were actually utilizing her as a captain with her level Limit Break expansion. So that's pretty much all the old characters. I'm sorry we rambled on for a little bit longer than expected, but let's dive in to the newer characters now. So let's kick it off with the Kazuna that came out. We had Kazuna X Drake Legend as well as aokiji as a 6+. I'm going to start off with X Drake here. Now, X Drake's really interesting because he has that effective V2 Akainu where if you hit a bunch of perfects, he does 400 times his attack to all enemies. He's a striker and a powerhouse captain, and you do need like one of the supernovas on his team to trigger his super type. The downside to this unit that I do find is that getting his super type can be very, very tricky. It can be very, very tricky. But nevertheless, he's still a very phenomenal captain. 5 times to strikers and powerhouses is nothing to scoff at. He's a very, very good special, being a 2.5 times attack boost to both of those classes, as well as being the highest chain boundary in the game, provided your captain is powerhouse or striker. Starting at 3.0, going up to 40 times, is so strong. But the big knock I have with this unit is he is a super type that doesn't boost his type, which is very, very annoying. So the fact of the matter is that he boosts 2 classes and then is a super type booster. That's my big argument with him. He does have 10 turns of special reverse in his kit too, though. But because he does have that ability to give that chain boundary effect, I do really like him. I think he's probably like an S tier captain. I don't think he is amazing. Purely because as a sub, I don't know how much use you will get with him. If you're running striker and powerhouse teams, like he definitely can like be a very, very phenomenal sub. If you have a look on the board here in terms of strikers, you have this guy up here, which is very, very good. You do have Yamato, so if you are running him under Yamato, like that's going to be very, very strong. And I guess you could argue that he is amazing because he has that sort of that boost in his kit. I guess he is because like he's going to be a very, very good sub no matter what for those teams. Powerhouse and striker teams, he's going to be your dedicated attack booster. You could easily put him on like these teams here with King and Queen. Being a powerhouse character as well. And powerhouse is just incredibly strong. So I changed my mind. I do think that he is an amazing character. As a powerhouse leader, he's very, very strong. He's got a cooldown in his super type as well, which can help with speed farming. He's a very, very good legend. Very, very strong legend. And that end of turn damage is nothing to scoff at as well. The ability to get through resilience as well as sort of just like wave clear is going to be very, very nice moving forward. On to the newest 6 plus now. We have aokiji. Now, aokiji is an interesting one. Aokiji's kit is very unique. With his 6 plus, he did get a much buffed captain ability with his level limit break as well as his limit break plus. He can be a 5.25 times captain to Sai and Quick, provided you attack in a Sai and then a Quick order, and then you become the 5.25 times captain. He increases the chance of landing on matching orbs, which is nice, and then he also has the ability to double special trigger his special basically, as long as you eat 16 Quick or Sai orbs within the run. Now, unfortunately for me, 16 is quite high. I would have preferred to be around 12, so that way you'd have his special ready to go by turn 3. But nevertheless, his special is still pretty strong. 2.25 times attack boost to both of those colors, as well as giving a full board of matching orbs through block orbs. He does damage, as well as removing 3 turns of damage reduction and threshold. Now, I do want to state that this is with level limit break plus, as well as limit break expansion, to make him this amazing captain and have this amazing special ability. That's a lot of investment. That's a lot of investment. Now, I'm not going to discredit what he can do. Or also, if you have an attack boost, he becomes the orb boost, so 2.25 times orb boost, which is very, very good. I'm not discrediting what he can do and how powerful he is. I do think he's the best 6 plus in the game. But to me, that's a lot of investment for what he actually does. And to me, I think he's probably on par with Treasure Map Sanji. If I was going to compare him to any other unit, I think he does very similar stuff to what Treasure Map Sanji does. And you can kind of like get what aokiji does in other ways without that much investment. My big knock with this unit is that all the investment you need to put in with him to get him to that particular point. And even when you get to him, like, I understand, once you get him to that point, he's great, but I still don't think he's that amazing. I don't like the fact that you need to attack with, like, Sai and then Quick. It means you can't build, like, a mono Sai team unless you bring, like, dual units and stuff like that. So I just don't love aokiji. I don't dislike him. I can see what he can do. I understand why he's powerful. But I just don't think that he's incredible. Plus, he doesn't have a super class. He doesn't have a super type, which therefore makes him a little bit of a lower multiplier. So having the 5.25, it is a conditional 5.25, does him justice. But at the same time, these characters having super types means that they can immediately do more damage if they are attacking with type advantage. And because Kuzen is sort of like a color-based team, being like mainly Sai and mainly Quick, you want to have that sort of ability to make those characters stronger. I do think he's really strong. I do think he's the best 6 plus we've had. No doubt about that. But I just don't see him being better than some of these other like Sai captains up here. Don't get me wrong, like Sai has a lot going for it. Roger, Yamato, like these 2 units here in particular, like you don't need nearly as much investment for them to just be better. Like it's as simple as that. Even like Kinemon Denjiro, like I prefer to run them. Frankie, like looking at the units in this top tier, like I don't see them like beating any of these units. Like even Odin, like I just can't see it. I can't see it how it, like I can. I guess I just don't agree with it, I guess is the best way to put it. But at the end of the day, this is a subjective tier list. Let me know what your thoughts and opinions are in the comment section below. Finally, we have the 2 newest legends. Now, I have done a lot of playing with these 2 legends. I have taken them both into Forest. I've taken them into Revolution Army 2 and Dofi 2 and some of the harder content. I haven't had a chance to go into like stuff like arenas. We'll get around to that with Anniversary on its way. But these particular characters came out for a purpose. I like to call these units very similar to like Jack and Buggy and Kaido quality of life legends. Marco especially because he's an XP booster. And Big Mom being sort of a speed captain. We're going to start with Marco though, because I do actually think I like Marco a little bit more. I think still. Initially, I definitely liked Marco a lot more. On paper, I liked Big Mom more, and then I played with Marco, I liked Marco more, and then I played with Big Mom, and I was kind of like, oh, maybe I don't like Marco that much, but Marco is still really, really good. Marco has the ability, he's a fighter superclass for starters. As long as you have 5 fighters on the team, you can get his superclass, which is 1 turn of cooldown and auto heal. If you use auto heal, you auto trigger Marco's special 1 turn per adventure. His special gives cooldowns, and then he's a 2.5 times attack boost for 2 turns to powerhouse fighters and Sai characters. And then he gives the clock buff to give a 1.4 chain boost on the next turn. His captain ability is very strong. 4.75 to fighter, powerhouse, and Sai. And then if you have a matching orb, he's a 5 times captain. So, incredible captain. It makes in-orbs matching as well. Unfortunately, that's kind of all he does in terms of his captain. There's no, like, damage reduction or anything like that. But he does have a lot of healing, which is great. And he does have a lot of cooldowns. Plus, he also does 2.25 times XP. So whenever you need to XP farm, your boy is going to be the guy to go to. Jack has finally been replaced. But Jack is a rainbow captain. And hybriding the two of these guys up is very, very strong. Because Jack is actually a fighter captain as well. But I do think Marco is definitely better than just, like when, like, the content requires or niche. He's definitely an S-tier captain as he sort of hits the nail on the head of all of these other units. And I think you're probably using him as a captain most of the time. You definitely can use him as a sub, but he's a superclass unit. And I do think that, like, you want to be able to get his superclass off to make him as effective as he is. His multipliers are great, but as a sub, he's kind of just an attack booster and then like a 10k heal. And that's kind of all he is. If you look at some of these other units that I have in ST Captain, like Cat Dog, for example, they're giving like 2 turns of buffs. Odin's carrying like 3 turns of buffs. All of these other units have very good specials as well for like a 1-turn burst, where all of these guys here have like not only a 1-turn burst or a great captain, but they have the ability to like do some big stuff where you don't need to bring other characters. I feel like with Marco, if you're using Marco's special in a turn and you need to do a burst turn, you probably need like 2 or 3 other specials. Where if you look at something like verse Shanks or verse Whitebeard, you only need like 1 other special. Stuff like X-Drake, you only need like 1 other special. If you get the carryover of King and Queen, you only need 1 other special. They provide something else that Marco kind of doesn't. And what Marco kind of provides is that extra XP. So I do think he's really good. Really, really good unit. But I just don't see him being the creme de la crop. Because what he is, he's a quality of life legend, right? Like, he's quality of life. As for Big Mom, though, Big Mom's gimmick is the whole end of turn damage. Very similar to Kaido, and the law states, if you are to use V1 Kaido, use V1 Kaido. V1 Kaido gives 2 turns of cooldowns at the start of the quest, and does the end of turn damage like Big Mom does. Unfortunately, though, Big Mom doesn't do as much end of turn damage as Kaido does. It doesn't give cooldowns. So the idea of her is, like, you want to speedrun content, but you don't get cooldowns, and you don't do as much end of turn damage. She does about 1.2 million end of turn damage, which is still good, but she also provides a paralysis effect. And the paralysis effect applies a 30% chance to be paralyzed, and the enemy cannot attack you, which is actually pretty good. And when it works, it works. But when it doesn't, it doesn't. Full immunity is a thing, and it does affect paralysis. But Big Mom is still a very good unit. She's a 5.25 times captain if you have a Semler slot. She makes recovery and dex orbs into Semlers. She's a Psi and Int booster at 4.75 base rate. And then her special gives a full board of Semler slots at 2.5 times orb boost and does a bunch of damage. She has a super type as well, as long as you have any of the Big Mom family, namely like Pudding's like her best friend. But if you have any of the Big Mom family, like Katakuri, Cracker, Smoothie, Pudding, all of those units, she is a 2.25 times attack booster to Psi and Int as well. So very good super type like Snake Man and Vivi, but also having the ability to do end of turn damage and get through stuff like Resilience. Unfortunately, she does have her flaws, as I mentioned. She doesn't give cooldowns, which is a big factor for this particular unit. But you guys know me, when it comes to units that give a full board of orbs and an orb boost, they immediately find their way pretty high up on the tier list. And for me, I do think she is amazing. When you can get her to work and you build her team out right, she can do some ridiculous things. We did actually bypass normal attacks only on Revolutionary Army 2. We also no-stalled Revolutionary Army 2 as well, which was really cool. She took on the whole Kid Forest. She actually managed to get that done as well. Even just with an attack and an Orbis on the final stage and no type advantage, she managed to get that done very, very nicely. So I do think she's amazing. I think she's a very, very good sub, as well as being a very, very good captain. No doubt about it. I'm pretty sold that she's amazing, and I don't think that's going to change too much. But as time goes on and she stops being boosted, I guess we'll have to wait and see how inevitable that cooldown reduction actually is. But for now, I am going to put her in amazing. Let me know if you guys want to see some more content with Marco and Big Mom, and where you guys want to see them, because I am super keen to keep playing around with them. And if you guys want to see the videos, I'm more than happy to suffice. But as you guys can see, that is the tier list for this month. April 2022 has been completed. Now we are on the road to anniversary, and the next one is going to be an absolute big one. I'm sorry that this was a bit of a ramble, but I did want to include stuff like level limit break in today's video and stuff like that, because anniversary is just around the corner, and we are going to have to talk about a lot of stuff there. But as you can see, with the new Big Mom, with the new Marco, with level limit break, we do have a bunch of changes. I'll obviously leave a picture at the end of the video for you guys, as I always do. So if you guys want to fast forward to that, then go ahead. If you won't see the justification of why these characters are there. So make sure to let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section below, as always. If you did enjoy the video, don't forget to belt the like button for me. And if you are new to the channel, hit that big red subscribe button too. But guys, wherever you are in this beautiful world, please remember to enjoy the rest of your day. As always, homies, I thank you for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Lates!